How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? What's happening, beloveds? How y'all doing? Hope everything's healthy. What's going on out there? Sorry it took me so long. I'm so glad y'all stuck around. So we got a little teaching moment, and this is actually, I think, maybe my first show exclusively on No Grandma Killers. Hi Chief Hummingbird. On No Grandma Killers. So I have the beloved um, Sokwa, Stacy Allen, Spirit Wolf Allen. Why don't you introduce yourself, beloved? How are you?
Oh, what's up, Indian country? How y'all doing out there? It's a pleasure to be on No Grandma's Killers. I'm No Grandma Killers, and to be on here with Coach, and to be on here with my cousin Phoenix Moon.
Yuck, okay, yuck, okay. So there's been a lot of people. I guess they've been waiting for us to come through. This is the first time I sat down. So where do you want to start? We want to talk about pre-colonial information. There's been a lot of people saying stuff like there's no records, and what if the records were burned? Um, uh, there's no documentation, and I hit a roadblock. We have very intricate, interesting ways that we've been able to find out information, especially now, based off of our conversation that we had, maybe last week or the week before, when you when I spoke to you about a specific thing and our conversation, the difference in today, where you notified me that now you understand what I mean. Why don't you tell the people what I mean, what I'm talking about? That little nugget as far as history is concerned.
Oh, okay, okay. Let me start off from the basics. I'm Stacy Spirit Wolf Allen. I'm a member of the Choctaw Muskogee Yamasee Nation out here in California. We also have links down south and in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida as well. All of our family. I was formerly a member of the Moorish Sign Symbol of America. I was the Grand Sheik over there. Everybody know me out here as Brother Stacy Allen Bay. All right, so I was doing that for a long time. My family was all involved and so forth. Then after that, I had a conversation with my grandmother one time, and she put a check into me because I called her a wrong name because I thought that I was trying to get some family history from her, and I called her a Creole because her father was from Louisiana, and I used to hear him speak and stuff like that, and I didn't know what he was speaking, so I thought it was Creole because that was the folklore that was going along in the family. But I never really asked, and so I was actually going on with my life and never really asked anybody in my family anything, because you get involved in hip hop, you get involved in the music, the Five Percenters and the Nation of Islam and all. You start you start rolling with your peoples, Black Panthers, this so forth and so forth, just like everybody else. Same story, right? And so at this time, my grandma, when I said, "Could you tell me about our Creole heritage?" I was cutting her hair, and she's like, "Stop!" She like moved her head, and then I said, "You all right?" And she said, like, what? Why would you call me? Why would you say that?" And I said, "Because your father's from Louisiana, and some of your, and his parents and stuff like that. We kind of light skinned. We got the eyes and stuff like that." And so she was like, "But what would make you think that that has anything to do with being a Creole?" And then she said, "Well, my father was a Creole. Excuse me, my father was an Indian, and his father was an Indian, and you need to go look it up." And then she turned back around and then wasn't saying anything, and she said it with like an attitude. So my kids was right there. I was feeling a little embarrassed because all this time I thought I was, we descendants from Africa and Mecca and the Bible and Israel and and all that type of stuff. Because I followed in her trend because she was always just a good Jehovah Witness. I used to put her to bed and try to turn her TV off when she got all of her books around. She's like the leading lady when it comes to all this type of stuff throughout the country. Everybody knows her. So I'm just following in. I thought the biblical path. I'm trying to find the truth. But this day, I got a history lesson that was in 5 seconds. And so it led me on to go and do further research because she told me to. I started calling family members. My uncle started informing me of a time because I'm from Maryland. I grew up in California. He informed me of a time that I got off a plane and he had to rush me to go over and see my grandfather. And then when I went to go see my grandfather, he rushed me upstairs and told me you need to go talk to my mom. And I was like, "What?" Because I only normally see him. I never, I was so young. I never even knew he had a mom, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? I probably thought she was dead or something. So I went upstairs to go talk to her, and that's all I remember. So I remember calling my uncle and asking him about that situation, and him telling me, "Yeah, well, grandma, her people's man, she was a Mohawk, and her people said something to do with selling was selling Manhattan and stuff like that. She from Manhattan and all of that. And so she wanted to tell you before she passed." And I'm like, "What?" And he just said it just so simple like that. And so I'm like, hold on. And so now I'm going on this journey, and my grandma was born in Oklahoma. So as soon as I started looking her up and started looking up her father, boom, it popped right up there on the census. They was the Indians, they was mixed Cherokee. So I was kind of fulfilled there. So I went a little bit further and found on her mother's side that her great grandma was a Choctaw married to a Muskogee man. So I was fine there. That's how one of my brothers linked me up with the chief of the Choctaw Muskogee Yamasee Nation because we was the same peoples. When he saw my records, he was like, "We're cousins." You know what I'm saying? He showed me his family, and then that was that. Now, the subject that we on right now,
Wow,
because
can
I've
you
been
stop right there? That's that's interesting that you
okay.
say that because I was when I talked last night after the dog and pony show, I asked, were their chiefs able to offer genealogy to prove that you're akin to them? Right? That would be the only reason that they would, you'd be aware of what your common ancestor is. I'm glad you said that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
That was that was the first thing he asked me. Well, when he knew when the brother brought me, it was about something, and then because it was really that basically we got this big Morris dude, and he, what I'm saying, he's kind of big in the thing, and he like cut it all off, and he's coming over here. We got to like, what I'm saying, make sure he not getting because I was getting attacked. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, no, 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 no. Let me take you back over here because he was the one that initially brought me to the temple. But he was like, remember before that, we used to always go to the Red Wind Reservation. And remember, I had my whole family. We used to stay there, and I used to try to get you to come up there. He said, but you got caught up into the demonstration. I said, yeah, I did. You know what I'm saying? But he said, anyway, let me take you now. So when he took me there, Chief said, come on, let's go take a walk. So we went and took a walk around the land. He was talking to me, and then he said, what's your story? Basically, where the hell you come from? You know what I'm saying? And so I put on my phone and I started showing him my records. Then he was like, okay, let's go to the office. And then that's when things started taking it from there. And then we started just becoming very, very, very close because there wasn't too many people out there, and it was just him and his two daughters and a few other Indians. And so I always go out there and bring my family, and we chill like that. And he has so much stuff that he's already done as far as courts are concerned and all of that. You know what I'm saying, to get the Yamasee tribe and the Choctaw Muskogee Yamasee Nation where it's at. He got court documents, so it's already been proven. So I love stuff like that because me being a little paralegal student, I got to see the actual documents. So now, fast forward, I've been on this high horse with Indian country with me, you, Turtle Gang, Tasha She, everybody. We've been on one, and so my pops and them has been checking out. My other family's been checking it out. Like, basically, what's up with me? Have you found the stuff with my family? Because my dad is from North Carolina, and when he took me there, my cousins would just say it like, "Yo, we Cherokees, cuz." And me, my first time going there, which I didn't know I was there as a baby till they told me that. But anyway, I'm in junior high school, and everybody keeps saying, we Cherokees, cuz. I had a couple cousins kept saying that, and I was like, "Yo, why you keep trying to bang on me, yo?" And he was like, "Yo, what you talking about?" And I was like, "What gang is the Cherokee, man?" And then they was like, they just laughed at me, and it was like, "No, we Indians, cuz." And I was like, and I'm looking at them like in my mind, like, "You black ass niggas is crazy." In my mind, you know what I'm saying? And so, come to find out, the more and more I do my research, it was always true. But as a youngster, in my mind, I'm from Cali. You thinking that everybody looks the TV versions. We grew up with the cowboy westerns. Come on, we on the West Coast. That's all we really know. And we got our Mexican family that's here. And so in my mind at that time, I thought an Indian looked like that. And so further down the line now, I'm doing my research on my father's line, and I just, oh man, it's so amazing because everybody is classified as Negroes, blacks, coloreds, mulattoes, etc., just like everybody else. But what I did was, once I got so far on the line to about the early 1800s and the 1700s, I know from doing history research for myself that these towns get very, very small. Even the books of Los Angeles, there was nobody here, even downtown. And it was a sister downtown that was owning a lot of the major property downtown, even here. And the 44 founders, excuse me, it was 46 people that founded Los Angeles. 44 of them are considered Negro Indians. Like a lot of people don't know that. And so now with my father's research, I started Googling people because when you go back so far, everything is small. So I started Googling them. And then everything started popping up. Not only that, I, I I started stop being old fashioned because I like to find everybody who they are, write them down in a notebook, and then go make a Xerox copy of the deed and boom, I got it for myself. I stopped doing that and I started putting up the names on a computer, where it tells you to put up your family, your bloodline. So I started putting that up, and then all of the different hints started coming in. And then from my father's side, it started giving me stuff that I couldn't find, and started giving me those type of hints. And then it started giving newspaper articles and stuff like that. And that started opening my mind up to more things because it gives you information in newspaper articles. And now you can go and type these certain places, these certain churches, and then you'll find out that your family founded those churches, and the stuff go even further. And so it linked me to um, my family being on the first census of North Carolina in the 1790 and even before that, but they led up to the 1790s.
Where do
They
you want
fought
me
in the
to
Revolutionary
start?
Wars.
Is there
What you
any of
say?
those? Which document or what did you want me to have something sharing as you're narrating?
Yeah, go start from me first, and then go up to all of the different to the last bloodline that I sent you,
You got it. Okay.
so we can make this simple and not make this all difficult. Because before because what we have is we got a lot of different situations we gotta that we're in because of who we are as a people. One of them is when it comes to the tribal thing, is that you have Indians, tribes. You have people that can prove they're Indians who have a right to be Indians according to the law. Then you have people who are Indians who can prove that they were a part of a specific tribe uh, during certain census records. And so they're able to go back and link up with that specific tribe.
Hmm.
But that does not negate those who are Indians who can prove that they are Indians that they can't link up and do their thing as well. I can prove that, for instance, I haven't got as far yet, so I'm not trying to disrespect any of the census rolls or anything like that. I'm not even on that page because I know who my family is and I'm already proud of that. So can't nobody take that away. So that's just that. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Now, though I haven't looked on the Robeson County rolls yet to see if my family is on there. My great grandfather, which I could prove direct lineage to, was had four grandchildren. His direct lines, that was four Waccamaw chiefs of their first five. But what happens is these tribes, like for instance, I sent you a record that we're gonna look at. What's that right there? That's me. That's me. My
Yeah,
pops.
that's you. That's you.
And up there, faded a little bit. It says J.B. Allen. So it's me, Stacy Allen, Rayford Allen, then J.B. Allen. Okay, go to the next one.
Okay, hold on a second.
We can just quit with the talk and go right to the documents. Not that one, the one in the bloodline. Yeah. Okay.
Is it that one? This one?
No, go. Yep. So it's going
Is it
from
not? Hold on one second.
right there. So
There we
from
go.
me, Rayford to JB, right to Solomon. Go to the next one, which who they call Soul. Then it was Solomon Jr., then Solomon Sr. Then when you go down to his mom, right there, it says Sarah Graham,
There we go.
right? Okay, so remember these names. Her father is James Graham. Her mother is Winnie Ford Blanks, right? James's father is William Graham, and his mother is Sarah Jacob Graham. Winnie Ford's father is Alfred Blanks, and her mother's name is also Sarah Graham. And then Alfred Blanks, I didn't send that to you. I apologize. Alfred Blanks' father, which you will read, is John Blanks. Okay, now let's go to the first document, the one with John Blanks. That not that one.
Oh, I think it's the first one.
Not that one. It's another one.
That's it.
Right there. I can't really see it, so can you read it?
Yes. John Blanks, born, say, 1754, was a white taxable in James Ellis's Bladen County household in
Let's stop right
1770.
there. Okay. First he was white. Okay. Let's go.
In James Bladen household county, in Bladen County household in 1770, and a mixed blood taxable in his own household in 1774. A
Now he's a
black
mixed blood.
taxable, right? A black taxable in 1775.
Now he's black taxable in
Taxable
1775.
on 100 acres, 3 horses, and 5 cattle in 1779. And head of household of 2 blacks, 12 to 50 years old, and 4 over 50 or under 12 in 1786. And then that's in Bird's Bladen County tax list. And it also indicates that he was head of a Bladen County household of 8 other free in 1790. He was living in Robeson County on January 14th, 1797, when he sold 100 acres in Bladen County in the fork of Slap Ass and Fire Swamps. Ain't that a funny name? Slap Ass. And it says he may have been the father of Alfred, born 1783, a free mulatto, about 12 years old, in June 1795, when he was bound as an apprentice by the New Hanover County Court. He was head of Bladen County household of 9 free colored in 1820. Munford, probably named for the Mumford family, head of the New Hanover County household of 4 free colored in 1820. Esther, head of a New Hanover County household of 4 free colored in 1820.
Okay. So am I breaking up or am I clear?
Oh no, you sound great. You sound great.
Okay. Now let's let's strike Walter Plecker out of there. Okay. Because right here we got he's white, he's black, he's mixed blood, he's a colored, free colored. Then his son is a mulatto. Come on, they've been doing this. Okay.
That's
But
right.
our families have been making sure that no matter what happened, that they was going to be marked down as you know what I'm saying, no matter what, that we was going to know who they were today. It's very important. Okay, let's go to the next one because it's going to build up.
Okay, which one now?
Whichever one you want to go to. The next one I sent after that.
Okay. think I closed it. Hold on. Oh, here we go.
We gotta start putting this stuff out there. It's not no secret. Stuff is
Right.
public. You can read this in the library.
Public information, and this is
This is
exactly
public information.
what the people need to understand. So this is the best example ever. Is it this one you want? Cause
Um, we can we can go
this
to
is
this one too. Let's go.
this is John Blank's, the other
Because
John
we're
Blank.
talking about the same person. So let's stay here
That's
since
right.
we're talking about him. Let's stay here.
Okay.
Go right there.
Uh,
Because
it
this one
says,
came because this one this I'm sorry to cut you off, Cuzzo, but this specific when I sent you these, this came out of a book of North Carolina. That's why I had sent them in a specific order. But it's cool. We can stay right here. But know that this came out of a specific book that you will show the cover to later on after we read these articles. Okay?
right. This is
Got it.
John Blank's obtained a land grant from an officer of the King of England in 1774. And that is when we first see the establishment of settlement of Indian Wells, which is located on the Cape Fear River, just outside of East Arcadia in Bladen County, North Carolina. According to archaeologists, there has been Indian artifacts and Native American burial ground located in this area. Artifacts of the Siouan Indians can be found in the Lake Waccamaw Museum located in Lake Waccamaw, North Carolina. The Blanks family are descendants of the Waccoon or Siouan stock, and it is possible that they were mixed with Highland Scott as they arrived in Bladen County, North Carolina. According to the United States Federal Census of 1860, Elijah Blanks was born in 1808 and was a free inhabitant of Westbrook Township, located in Bladen County, North Carolina. He also is listed as a mulatto, a person of mixed blood. The 1860 census didn't include a classification for Native American Indians. The United States Federal Census of Bladen County in 1860 classified everyone as, of course, mulatto.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't send the next page.
And
Dang it.
yeah, I
They
think
said
there's
it.
a piece
The
missing.
next page they said it as the mulattoes, you know what I'm saying, whites are, you know what I'm saying, are
Right.
blacks.
So yeah, I think everybody pretty much knows that. I think they pretty much.
Yeah, but it's right, but basically they're stating it themselves. We're showing documented evidence of proof that this is what they're doing and have been doing.
That's correct.
So,
That's correct.
but at the same time, I'm not I'm not saying to the people to go out there and say just because your grandparent was a Negro or free colored or taxable on tax that they were Indians.
That's right.
See, I'm not saying that. You also have to prove that. See, you got to keep going. Even though it says it in that document, the first one didn't say it. I could have stopped. Hey, it was free taxable, and then it was mulattoes,
That's right.
right? But you got to keep going, and then when you keep going, it's more stuff that they're gonna reveal. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, which one now?
It was something said in that last one though that we need to break down though. I think in the first couple lines
Uh,
it says something.
the settlement of artifacts of the Siouan Indians can be found.
Oh, thank you. Okay, basically he founded Indian Wales. In short, that's his land. Not saying that his people wasn't there before. See what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, after the war though, because either you was gonna be removed or you was gonna stay and get with this Christian demonstration, which we're gonna see later on that they founded the Graham Church. We're gonna get to that later. But after you fought in the war, then you was granted land by the king. You got your deeds and stuff like that. And so the land I guess he picked was that.
Okay, now also let me also make it very clear, right? Why some
Hmm.
people were not more than likely not affected during the Trail of Tears, right? And this you can call it a
Right.
tear because they have already got this land from the King of England after this is 1774. This is right before the Declaration of Independence. So this is like the pinnacle or turning point prior to the Revolutionary War. So now
Yes.
you will also find that there are other family members that were their allegiance was with George Washington and the other people that fought against England.
Yes. Yes. I have documented proof from studying my family's history that they said that the King of England, the reason why we were going with him is because he wanted to leave the land to the Native Americans and be in control of the fur trade, but the
That's,
colonists wanted different.
that's correct.
Boom. It's in their books.
That's correct.
So now say that I didn't have a family member that was on the rolls from 1900 to 1910. Are you to say that they not taking part in all of this right here?
Hmm.
And I'm not being disrespectful to the 19 to the roles. You understand? I'm just saying because I haven't even looked at it myself. If I was on it myself, I still say the same thing. What about
Right.
those who are not? Just because they moved away, are they not still our blood relatives? I mean, you was a part of the tribe here in the 1900s, 1800s, and way your whole thousands of years before that. Then you decided to go up to New York for schooling and stuff like that. And then
Right.
you decided you don't like the city life. You might want to move back down south and go work back on the farm again. And now all of a sudden you ain't a part of the tribe. How does that work? You ain't family no more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay, let's go to the next document.
Let's see. Which one is that? This one
Um,
about the
yes,
grams, or yeah.
yep. I found okay. This was on the website of the Graham's family reunion. So I didn't find this through, you know what I'm saying? I found this through the family. Going searching people, then finding through their family reunion website. Through the family reunion, they have a website that they all hook up, and then this is what they said.
I was trying to make it big. Hold on. Let's see if this open this up. I'll try to make it bigger. I'm sorry. Okay, are you guys able to see that? Probably not. Huh? Give me 1 second so I can read it. Okay, this says, "Welcome to the Graham family website. We are proud descendants of William Graham Sr. and Sarah Jacobs Graham of the Bladen County, North Carolina. William and Sarah were both born in North Carolina and were free persons of color prior to the Emancipation Proclamation signed in 1863 by United States President Abraham Lincoln. William and Sarah first appeared together in the United States Federal Census in Bladen County, North Carolina in 1840 with a household of 7. They were living near their oldest son, John Graham, born around 1810 with a household of 6 in the United States Federal Census of 1850. William and Sarah appear in the household of 2 of their sons and a grandson and were racially classified as mulatto, a title given to Indians, mixed blood blacks, mixed blood whites, and mixed blood Indians by the United States government. We trace our origin to the original inhabitants of the United States, Native Americans, whom here were here thousands of years before the first white Europeans arrived. With thousands of viewed documents and thousands of research hours, evidence shows that Sarah Jacobs Graham family members purchased land in Dublin, New Hanover, Bladen, and Brunswick counties, North Carolina, in the mid 1700s. Also, recorded war pension documents indicate that her father, Zachariah Jacobs Sr., 1753 to 1847, uncles and cousins such as Primus Jacobs, Hezekiah Jacobs, fought in the American Revolutionary War, Sons of the American Revolution, certified. Many of her cousins are currently members of the Lumbee Indian tribe of Robeson County, North Carolina, the Coherie Indian tribe of Sampson County and Harnett County, North Carolina, and the Waccamaw Siouan tribe of Bladen and Columbus Counties, North Carolina. Much is not known of William Graham Sr., other than he was born in North Carolina. He was of mixed blood, he was a free person of color, and he was not a slave. It can also be assumed that William was mixed with either black Indian or black white Indian because many of his children lived black African American and or Native American lives. William and Sarah's son, James Graham, is one of the founders of Graham Chapel Church, which is established in 1872. Henry Graham was born in 1830, was one of the founders of the Tabernacle Believers Holiness Church, located in Youngstown, community of Bladen County, North Carolina. William and Sarah had at least 7 known children, and research indicates that there may have been more. Their children's names were John Graham, born 1810, James Graham, Elizabeth Graham, Bowen Freeman, Joseph Graham, Margaret Peggy Graham Baldwin, Henry Graham, William Jack Graham Jr., William Graham Sr. last appeared on the United States federal census in 1850, living in Youngstown communities. His wife Sarah last appeared in the United States federal census in 1860 at the age of 73, being cared for by her daughter Elizabeth. It is believed that Sarah is buried near her husband William. Okay, that was it.
That
Yeah,
said a whole lot.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, so how many tribes they're part of?
Oh man, quite a few, quite a few.
All right. It says what it says, so we can go to the next one if you want.
The Graham family of Bladen and Columbus County.
Yep.
The Graham family from Bladen and Columbus counties. William Graham was born about 1800 and first appeared in the census report of 1800 as being married to Sarah Graham, born in 1802. William Graham and his wife Sarah live on the banks of Cape Fear River on the south side, the locating where he lived to be identified as Indian Wells Landing in Bladen County, North Carolina. The family of Samuel Campbell and Elijah Blanks can also be found in the 1850 census of the United States of America living in this area. Graham Blanks and Campbell Founties are thought to be from predominantly the Siouan stock of Native American Indians. William Graham and his wife, along with his 3 children, John, Henry, Jack, is said to have been saved from extermination of the Native American Indian after an order was given by the President of the United States, Zachary Taylor, to kill all Indians between the Carolinas and Florida. The colonists classified all Indians occupying the lands about the mouth of Cape Fear River and especially the peninsula now forming, okay, the southern, it's probably going to be the tier. Now, let me just say something really quick. Did you see
Go
that
ahead.
there was a presidential order given by Zachary Taylor to kill all Indians between the Carolinas and Florida? So, do people want to know why the paper genocide was sometimes voluntary, necessarily voluntary, just to keep their goddamn life? Can you tell me when did they make a law saying kill every African from New York to San Francisco? It never happened. But they sure
Boom.
wanted to kill every Indian from the Carolinas down to Florida.
And guess what year he was president, Phoenix?
Tell them.
1849.
Right,
1850.
right.
So you was
If you
having a
moved
problem?
everybody from the Trail of
Hmm.
Tears, then what other Indians were left if they killed all the Indians in the 1700s? How they still had Indians left to kill? In what year did you say that was?
1849, 1850. 13
Okay.
years before they started the Civil War.
Okay. And how many years after the Trail of Tears? Right.
Trail
Right.
of Tears supposedly been like 1830.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1836 was supposed to be like the last time, but they were still doing this. And then when you look up the Zachary whatever his name is, Taylor, the president, you're going to see that all of his writings was basically talking about the Seminoles
That's
and the
right.
Yamasees in them.
That's right.
So they're classifying all of that as a confederation that they can't stomp out. And this is all the way until the 1850s. So do you really think that the Civil War is about slaves?
Right. They do.
No, it's
No, a
about
lot of people
we
do
better
think that.
stop. We better stop trying to fight these niggas or they're gonna bust our heads wide open. Let's stop. We got to come with a different plan. This ain't
That's
it.
right.
It's
That's
not
right.
working. It's not
That's right.
working. I was just reading on can't think of his name. I think Joseph Allen and his wife Sarah Tolburn.
Hmm.
They were one of the first to leave from North Carolina, and they went to Ohio. 63,000 of them,
Mm.
okay, called Black Africans left to be the first frontiers of the West. 63,000 they got on record. 63,000. You only got like 50 to about sometimes 120 to about 500 people the most at a town.
So wait a minute. Wait a minute. They left right around this time when Zachary Taylor was saying kill all the Indians.
Um, no, they were leaving about. Actually, it was around all of that time. It was around all of that time. Yes, it
Right.
was because yes, it was around all that time. Yep, 1850. It was around the same time.
Okay, so they had to
You
hurry
just
up
put
and
that in my head. I
hightail it
wasn't
out
even
of
thinking that.
town.
I wasn't even thinking. No, 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 no. I take that back. I apologize. I take that back. That was around um 1787 with the Northwest Ordinance. They was the first ones to move around that
Okay,
time.
they left after statehood. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That would have been post Virginia Company, post Ohio
Yeah.
Company too, I guess at that point.
But
Okay.
they lead into around the 1850s when you know what I'm saying they lead into that when you read the articles.
Right. Right. This is like so dope. This is so
Yep, and they
dope.
start talking about how when the Europeans finally started going west, they had to come and ask us how to farm, how to do everything all over
Yes.
again, once
Right.
again. It's all in the articles. They had to learn from 63,000 Indians who had moved to another Indian territory that was already hostile, but because who they were, it was all right.
Right. Right.
You
Oh,
learn a lot more studying your own family history
that's right.
and American history, the continent of where you from.
That's right. Your own family history. That's facts. Oh, yeah. Let me show the
Um,
cover of the book. Hold on 1 second.
okay.
Give me 1 second here. Okay. The state of North Carolina with Native American ancestry. So this was the periodical, the publication that had so much information on the ancestors, right? So you see that during it, but just keep in mind during the Zachary Taylor administration. So there is a time period where you will also see the dramatic changes in depending on the area geographically, how oppressive it was. So if you want to get specific, you look up Zachary Taylor's political party and you can check the climate in the area and where your ancestors live. You'll know exactly what they was dealing with in that township. If they were able to be named in other documents that had something to do with actually being in some sort of control. But because they were listed as white, if they were free of slavery, right? Some people were absolutely not because they portrayed to be white, but there was if you had money and you were not a felon, white was a social status at that point. Let regard less than so much of a description. because there's people that they may list as white, but when you look at their Revolutionary War record, it says that they were black in complexion,
I have proof of that.
dark hair, dark
Yep.
eyes.
It says right on the cover sheet, dark complexion.
Right.
Yep. That's a fact.
The Revolutionary War records show you all the men in the neighborhood went and signed up. All the uncles, the brothers, they left. They went to go sign up. All the neighbors on the farm next door, the plantation across the street, whatever up the road, they all left. You're going to see everybody, every man that was always living next to your ancestors, every neighbor kid they grew up with, all in the army at the same damn time.
Yep. They were all
Those
a
are your
militia.
people. So sometimes you have to follow other people to get back to yours.
You do. You got to go sideways, not up and down all the time. Sometimes you got to go sideways. You got to go through the sisters and through the cousins and stuff, your first cousins and stuff like that of your ancestors, because that's going to link you back up to the same grandparents. And that's what I was telling you, that you were right when you had told me that, because I didn't I understood what you meant, but now I have factual evidence to show that I don't have a specific record of my grandparents, because the on the deed records that I do have of them, they're listed as black, white mulattoes and stuff like that. But according to history and where they lived at, I mean, well, everybody know that they were Indians. That's how they lived. It's just
Well,
commercially. We're
I
talking
will
about
tell
commercially.
you where you probably will see it now, being the founder of Indian Wells. It's probably going to be on the land patent. Right?
There you have it. Exactly.
You'll probably bump into it. I hope I didn't spoil it for you, but
No, it's there. I got you. You're
even the
exactly right.
transactions where he was selling, he sell somebody 100 acres of land or something
Yes, he
like
sold
that.
some land. You'll be
And
able to
on
find all
those
those
deeds, they
transactions and stuff
say,
like that.
such and um, such and such Allen sold Indian such and such sold Indian Phoenix 100 acres. This white oak tree leading up to Smith's farm or
Yes.
whatever, whatever.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yep.
those little documents, those obscure documents, hold a lot of information.
Yep. I have those with the longitude and the latitude.
That is
Got them.
correct. That is
Yep.
correct.
Yep.
That
And
is
that's how they
correct.
used to explain stuff, from this rock to the river over here to that tree, all of that type of stuff. And then people will come and cut down them trees, and now you can't explain your jurisdiction.
That's right. And
this is
this is
the
why
actual juris. This is the
I've
actual
always told
jurisdiction.
people looking for the paper that say you Indian. Don't be worried about no paper that say you Indian. Worry about the one that say you not. And while you over there looking, show me how many Africans you find.
Yep. And I'm telling you the other thing. This is the other thing about the South. You got to get the colonized curriculum out of your brain, and the colonized um, media out of our brains. Not just any yours, not saying you, but or the public, but mine's as well. Because when we're looking at these things and you're comparing them to what we're taught in history, it really doesn't match up, because you got towns and towns and towns of folks that's free and know who they are, but they're having problems with more of the immigrants that's coming from foreign
Mhm.
countries onto their property. But at the same time, we mixed in with a lot of Europeans, black or white, and we are family members. We all have the same grandparents and stuff like that. So I was looking at I was studying a Kahari school in North Carolina that they had started, and it's so deep that this information that we're showing right now, when I look at all of the stuff that has to do with the Lumbies and the Wakamas and just everybody in North Carolina, they all have the same last names. One special where they were talking about the school when they decided to get their own schools and stuff like that, the Kaharis, and they were mentioning how the darker Indians, what they were going through in the 60s and the 50s, you know what I'm saying, like that, and how they were protecting each other. You understand what I'm saying? And then how they didn't have these problems. When the blacks would go to the black school, they have all these problems because the people that was there didn't understand who they were. And then if they had to go to a white school, of course it was 'cause they couldn't go there and all that other type of stuff. But when they came to to their own land and built their school there, like all of the children, no matter what color they was talking about how happy they were because they all know they're related, and so they are there for each other. And they talk
Right.
about they have the records of how they paid the teacher, the students that was there, the people that came from different tribes that came over there to speak, the people from the Jacobs, and you know what I'm saying, all these different. Then they started naming names, and I'm just like, wow. So some of my other family members went over there to help them teach their children and stuff like that. It's just it was a beautiful thing going on. And if you don't know that type of history, you always looking at everything in black and white.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You just can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to my grandma for checking me on that
That's right.
because we light skinned with green eyes don't mean that you know what I'm saying that you a Creole.
That's right.
And then I had to understand when she also said my father spoke French patois. Now go learn the difference. And then I have found a record on that. So you had some Indians that when the French came, they started learning the French with their Indian language and mixed it up like that, not the English.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, okay. Which some people down there call the same thing, but my grandma was making a specific difference. Is all I'm saying.
Right.
That's not my culture. I'm not from Louisiana or nothing like that. I'm just saying what she told me. So those that's out there like, fool, you don't know what you. I'm just saying what grandma told me, bro. Don't jump on my head.
That's right. That's right. That was just like such a dope presentation.
Okay,
You had
hold
other
on.
stuff too.
One more. Hold on, Phineas.
Yeah.
We got to show Samuel. We got to show Samuel Blanks. I think it is,
That's
or
right.
Samuel Graham. We got
That's
to show
right.
him because you must read that. We got to read this
Okay, let me get to him. Give me 1 second. 1 second.
because we going colonial. We went pre-colonial, and then we went, you know, colonial.
Oh, I have James too. Did I read that on the church already?
I mean, that's James Graham. It's just saying the same story about him and Winnie Ford, but they be giving little, like little secret stuff. Like
Yeah.
for instance, I'm sorry, go to the one with Sarah, what William
Oh, I
Graham
have
and Sarah
Scan
Jacobs.
Blanks.
William Graham and Sarah Jacobs. We got to go through that one, and then we need to go through the Samuel one, and then we can probably, we could probably let it go after that. I'm for sure that people will understand.
William Graham. William Graham, you said?
Yep, the William Graham and Sarah Jacobs,
Oh,
and it's really the bottom of there. That's the part I'm trying to get to.
Um, okay, hold on. There it is. All right, there you go. There with this one right here, right? That one. I think we went to that
Yes,
one. Okay, there was
we
something
did
else
that
you
one
wanted to
already.
go over.
Okay, then read the
Yeah.
bottom of it. Read the very bottom.
Um, Thank you for visiting our site. The information. That part?
No, no, no. The line before that. We're talking about the five Walkmart Chiefs.
Oh, wait a minute.
It should be at the bottom.
William and Sarah had at least 7 children. That one.
I can't really see it because it's so small. But it should be like the couple little paragraphs at the bottom where it talk about. It says out of the five, Walkmart Chiefs, two of their great grandchildren was two of the chiefs. And then on another one I have, it shows that it was actually four of their grandchildren.
Let me see. I don't think that's on this one. It
I'll
mentions
blow it
that.
up. Let me see that mug. I'll show it to you. And I'm so thankful that my family even put this type of stuff up out there like that. It's just amazing. You don't see it at the bottom?
No, of that one down there, that's I was reading from the bottom.
Oh, it might not say it on it. I might be
I don't think it's that one.
okay.
I have one for James Graham. Is it that one?
Um, no, we could just go to the Samuel. That's that because that's that meatball, that spicy meatball you be talking about. 'Cause this is fine and dandy, but let's get to the spicy meatball.
Let's see which one. Is that Sam Blanks?
Um, was it is it Samuel? Is it Blanks or Graham? It's one of them.
Uh,
It's one of my uncles.
that's Samuel Blanks and John Wesley Blanks.
I just been on this all last week.
I have this.
It's been having okay, yeah, it's been having me all the way up. So excuse me, everybody, because if I'm getting names wrong and stuff like that, 'cause I've been up walking around nonstop. I can't think. Ever since I've been on this Indian country, I can't think.
I know. I know. This is
I be
so,
waking up happy. I don't mean like I can't
so
think like that. It's like
exciting.
I be excited
Mm,
the whole time.
it
Is what I
is.
mean.
It definitely is. And this is where you know you have your confidence and don't have to worry about the scams and all the
Yep.
nonsense. You know what I'm saying? That's why when you
Yep.
see this kind of stuff, it just makes you like, yo, what y'all doing? Like, get out of here.
Yeah. Because now it's at this point it's about taking my family and learning about our culture. Sitting down with the elders and letting them teach me the stuff I don't know and I forgot.
Okay, I think it's this one here.
Uh
Samuel
huh.
Blanks, born in
Yes.
1839, and his son
Yep.
John Wesley Blanks was born in 1884. John Blanks married Fanny Esther Moore, who was born in 1885, a Native American woman at birth, according to United States federal census. John Wesley Blanks' son, John Henry Blanks, was born November 19th, 1911, and married Janie Spaulding. John Henry Blanks and Janie Spaulding created a document in order to preserve their family Native American heritage. The affiant was made on January 16th, 1945, and stated the following. John
Hold
Henry
on. Hold on.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay. They hold on. They coming from William and Sarah, right? And so, and then he married into another Native American woman to the Moore family, whatnot. And then now he's making a document. Wait, when?
1945.
In 1945. So this ain't got nothing to do with no dolls rolls or nothing like that.
That's
Okay.
right. That's
All
right.
right. All right. I'm sorry. Continue.
The affiant was made on January 16th, 1945, and stated the following. John Henry Blanks and Janie Spaulding Blanks are the parents of Fannie Lee Blanks. John Henry Blanks is the son of John W. Blanks and wife, Fannie Esther Moore Blanks. That John W. Blanks, the son of Sam Blanks and Emmeline Spaulding Blanks. That Fannie Esther Moore, daughter of Johnny Moore and wife Frances Spaulding Moore. So that basically just gave you everybody's genealogy.
Go
Again,
to the
that another line that descends into American Indian.
right. Okay. Go to the next one though, because
Oh,
it's the next one's the part two of it, and then
which is it?
it's gonna say it. The spicy meatball is in there.
Is it this one here? The origin of the
No, it's not
surname?
that one. It's not that one. Um, I'm gonna show it to
Is
you when
it?
I see it. No, it looks like that page. It's from that book right there. It looks like two paragraphs in one page. I think it's that. That's the continuation from the last page you just read.
Okay. His wife was deceased at the time of the affiant. That the parents of Christian Sanderson Spaulding were from Pembroke, Robeson County, North Carolina. That the other parties herein mentioned are of Columbus and Bladen counties, North Carolina. That John Henry Blanks and Janie Spaulding Blanks live in the Indian settlement of Hickory Hill, that all of the above named parties are members of the Indian race. John Henry Blanks and Jenny Spaulding, daughter Fannie Lee Blanks, and her ancestors are members of the Indian race. Fannie Lee
Boom.
Blanks married Elmore R. Campbell, and to the union, two children were conceived: Wanda Campbell, born January 7th, 1959, and Milton Campbell, born September 5th, 1962. Both are Native Americans, according to birth records located in Columbus and Robeson counties.
Right. So, and it says all their ancestors, right?
Yes, it does.
So that's a legal document, which is in a book, right?
Hmm.
That one of my uncles said all his ancestors, not just his family, but me too, meaning his parents and his great grandparents and them. And this is the 1945. So there is a lot of documents and a lot of evidence to prove who we are, and it's all documented. This stuff has to be documented even in the European world. If let's say we go with the slave Atlantic slave theory, and they brought some slaves over here, and then I'm coming, somebody's coming to the auction to buy some slaves. Okay, when he purchases slaves, he got he has a deed on that slave, because I have records that show that slaves they were called mortgage, like a mortgage. So if you purchasing a mortgage and you look at people's wheels, and they got some tools, they got a horse, a cattle, $20, this, that, 220, some jewelry, a couple jewelry, a mirror, some forks and shit. And then with the slave, I need $500. He costs damn near what your land costs, or more than your house and your land.
Mhm.
So a slave is like a Rolls Royce. You
That's right.
scratch the Rolls Royce, I'm kicking your ass.
That's right.
Ain't
That's
nobody
right.
beating on no slave like talking about.
That's right.
I ain't saying that ain't happen. I ain't saying that people went crazy. But everybody, man, please, bro, you would get your head busted just like how the Lumbies went and busted them KKKs that try to come and have that rally.
That's
They're not
right.
playing that.
That's
You
right.
you read tons of stories of engines that ain't playing that, and everybody know that. That's why they call them that. So within that that mythology, they're not. It just didn't go down like that. I'm gonna just leave it like that. It didn't go down like that.
You're right about that. This
It
was
didn't
like
go
a
down like that.
super dope bill. Cause I mean, is there anything else you wanted to add? I appreciate you. I thank you so much. I think that just made people have so much more clarity and understanding. That it's not necessarily what you see in the open. It's the things that are a little more subtle. That say everything that needs to be said.
Yep. All I would like to say is thank you to you, and I can't wait for the No Grandma's Killer Tour to be going around. I also want to say that not only when we do come, but everybody, we need to make sure, not on no church thing or nothing like that. No disrespect to the churches, but we need to have some type of um goal to where we're gonna have some type of like land or business or something that we purchase. That we have
Mhm.
some pot that we put in a couple $100 each or something like that, to where we try to get something.
Absolutely.
For a place that we can always build. It don't have to be. It could be a school. It could be all type of stuff that we can have a land like a center or something like that, because you have a lot of Indians out here that can't be a part of a tribe. You know what I'm saying? They can't go back in because of certain laws and stuff like that. And then you have certain Indians like myself who have certain documents, but you know dang well as soon as I go over there, they're gonna be talking about your blood quantum. And then like, nigga, you know what I'm saying? I don't know about you, nigga, your blood quantum. You know what I'm saying? You can't even vote here. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So it's a lot of people that's not really into them type of games, and we've been played too many times to be going through all that type of stuff. So that's why this is a good avenue for us who can prove their ancestry. We can actually sit down and discuss what we gonna do
That's right.
or what we can do.
That's
And
right.
I'm no disrespect to my chief or anything like that, but I made alliance and chief for my tribe to go out and speak on these type of behalfs. And I thank you for giving me the platform and for you creating a platform for for Indian country,
Absolutely.
quote
Absolutely.
unquote Black Indian country.
That's right. That's right. We here. We definitely gonna keep these builds going. We definitely want people to understand. I always we always now you know what I mean when I say don't just look for the paper that says Indian. You want to find out the one that is less subtle because that's exactly what it is that you need. Cause I mean, this was like serious anti-private eye investigative work. I think that was awesome. And I know you got like a long ways to go. You can spend the next 5 years just on, these couple of lines. You know what I'm
You
saying? So
know me. Yep.
I know how
Yep.
that is. It's always gonna be new things turning up, different family lines full of different Indians, and then they'll ask, "How you so many different tribes? How you so many different tribes?" Like,
Man,
they
it's
this
just
is how you know people don't understand ancestry.
yep.
You know. So, but I think that was really cool. I definitely appreciate you. This was like a super dope first for me on the No Grandma Killers channel. And cousin will be in Atlanta. He will be in
Yep.
Atlanta in April. So we'll see him in just a couple of weeks. Um, Definitely would be in a couple of weeks. So cousin Soapbox Allen will be in the building. Shout out to Coach and shout out to Tasha. What's up, Mizak? How you doing, beloved? Cousin Davida, Willie Lilly, Vicky Simmons, everybody in the chat. Just peace and love to you. We're gonna come here. We're gonna build. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Now you got something to reference. You guys will know what to look for and start going outside of. You'll never look for what was it, a 1640 something census of people who are on, cousin. What was that line? They were on like 1760, all these different obscure years that outside of
Right.
1790, right? And outside of just the US federal census. So this is why I called it pre-colonial. So now you have an understanding. His grandfather had something with the King of England, and then I'm also going to show the connection with those particular types of Indians that were in amity and commerce, because that would place you in the Indians not taxed, not all this other stuff that these other people are talking about, because these will come from
Right.
descendants of treaty signers, pre-colonial.
Yep.
So
And they call that you have recognized Indians and then you have those that's already been acknowledged.
that is correct.
So it's a difference. You know what I'm saying? You have the
That is correct.
pre-colonial Indians already had a bunch of this, hundreds of treaties that we already had before there was ever United States of America. So
So with respect to having different treaties, different federal documents, different archive documents, how come, and us being and many of us being direct descendants of these people, how come we haven't started making tribes like the rest of these niggas that's been running around creating all of this chaos without having these fine like details that you have took the time to invest? And you did this on your father's side after you already know your mother's side was already federally recognized and whatnot, but just knowing that the neglect that has been to the southeastern, or just the eastern woodland Indians period, and the southeastern Muskogee as well. So for you to be able to showcase that, I think that was super dope. I really do appreciate that. And it also distinguishes how the story of your mother's people is still very different than what happened on dad's side of the family from North Carolina. And you also established the timeline that this happened hundreds of years before Walter Plecker even stepped foot out the womb.
yep.
So that was great. And it was all in just 2 lines. That's not even including all of the other lines and different, treasure troves of Indian lines. But we could definitely save that. I would love to have you back. This would be, I really hope you come back as often as you want.
Anytime,
And
cousin.
come and share your experiences, especially because even when you was a Moor, you was a badass Moor. You was a kick-ass motherfucker Moor, always successful. And
Yep.
now you're back to grandma. So I'm so glad. I know she's glad you came back and snapped out of it. But
Yep.
your experiences and being able, to explain your walk into this, and being a family man, yeah, I really respect you. I I really respect you. That's a fact.
Thanks, Cuzzo. Respect you as well.
That's a fact. So,
All right,
do
Indian
anybody in
country.
the chat have any questions before we go? Do you have any questions? I'll drop the link in. You mind give an answer on a couple of questions,
No,
cousin?
I don't mind. I can stay right here. I'm chilling. You know, I'm at the barbershop and it's finally raining out here, so I'm just chill.
Okay, okay. You guys got any questions? I'll give you about 10 minutes. To do that. If not, it's gonna end up being smoke 30.
Let's go.
Anybody have any genealogy questions? Hi, Sheila. Hey, Burnish Brass. What's up, beloved?
Oh yeah, Cuzzo, you asked a question, but we don't go off and try to start our own tribes and stuff like that because we have respect for our ancestors.
That's right.
We have respect for our cousins as well, and that's basically it. And we can sit down and talk to them and figure certain things out. And if we can't, then we have to talk about something else. And then we will have that right to be able to do that. For instance,
That's
like the Wakamas and a lot of the other tribes, they got their federal recognition like in the 70s. And this is 20th century stuff.
right.
So and then they have to incorporate and like everybody else is trying to do, but they actually are bloodline descendants that go back pre-colonial, like
That's
what you
right.
how you started the program. So they have a right to do that.
That's right. That's right.
We have a right to do it as well, but we're just not going at. We'll sit down at the table and we'll talk about what we're gonna do for the future.
That's right. That's right. Mm-mm-mm. I'm
Yeah,
putting
and
the
help
name
out
of
those.
there.
Yeah.
They were looking
Any
for the.
questions?
They were asking you about the book.
What about it?
The name of the book, "The State of North Carolina with Native American Ancestry." I didn't get the name of the author.
Yes, because there are other families in there, not just mine.
Right, right. There's going to be tons of other families in there as well.
Hmm. It was another link that you sent me. What was that? The families of North Carolina, the free slaves of North Carolina and Virginia.
Yes, yes.
Hmm. We are related. I mean, it's funny. I mean, like I can really say that because I know everybody. We are related, but when you be doing this type of research, and then everybody be like, "Hey, wait, man, where you from?" From the South, man. But you know, my people really came out of Virginia. I mean, God damn, how many times do I have to hear that?
That's right. That's right.
Jeez.
That's right. And you know,
Everybody.
the great thing
What's up?
is the plethora of information that North Carolina and Virginia did leave behind, even with all of the messy sabotage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was. I'm glad you brought that up. That was the point that I was trying to clear up earlier when I was talking about you don't mess up your Rolls Royce because you got to have a you got to have papers on your Rolls Royce.
That's right.
You understand? If I'm gonna sell my Rolls Royce over to you, I gotta have papers on that Rolls Royce. And then you also got different type of slavery where you have the indentured servitude and stuff like that because you got different type of systems. You have a prison system that's always been going on, like we was talking about earlier, off record. When you have somebody over that's sitting in the dungeon over in Europe, and they just sit in the dungeon, you rotten. And we ain't got that many dungeons like that. So all these other people that we giving life to, or we giving 20 years to, you about to get on this boat. And you about to go over here and you about to work these 20 years off, or you about to work this life sentence off. And those of you that's doing life sentences, you're dead according to the law. So you can call it black or whatever, but you're dead according to the law, period, point blank. And so if I want to take another woman that's dead according to the law, because she doing life too for being a murderer and for poisoning people and for whatever the hell she was doing with her witchcraft or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm taking you and I'm taking her and I'm gonna make a baby and I'm gonna make that baby my slave too because I got control over your destiny right now. Because you done already gave it up murdering people, being a murderer. So be happy that somebody else is like keeping you alive and using you for something else. Maybe you can find some type of you know, resurrection for your soul or something like that. But anyway, I'm saying that to say there's different type of slavery. Then you got the indentured servitude, where you got the Indians who's
Mhm.
getting all of their land taken over. The Europeans is coming and figuring out that you like the buffalo and you like to hunt for your food, so they killing all the animals. They piling buffaloes up to damn near a pyramid size and standing in front of it or trying to stand on top of it. You understand what I'm saying? To show you that we basically take all your food. Now you're starving, going through famine, and now you got to go ask your conqueror for a job.
Right.
Now you gotta auction your child off, like the first document we read with Alfred Blanks, and then you said according to the court documents that he had to go and work as an apprentice for such and such,
That's right.
the mulatto boy, right?
That's right.
So in my own family, and I got other records too that show that they had to go off to be apprentices for somewhere else. You going off for 21 years to go work for somebody. Now
That's right.
say you mad, you was auction off, it's not auction off, but made a contract on you, and it was bidded or however you want to call it, to go and work for certain men for a specific trade, so that you, when you grow up, can be able to transform into this new society that's coming in, son. And so now you over here, you working with these dudes for 20 years. Some of these cats is mean and try to act like you've been a slave, like other people that's been brought to the country. Some of the people already know who you are, but I'm saying all that to say it was different. It was different type of slavery. So when this person try to leave and run away, and I've been feeding you, clothing you, um, giving you all my tools, your tools for
That's right.
work,
That's
all of
right.
that type of stuff, and then you just feel because you don't like or you want to marry that girl or whatever because she left or she got sold, you gonna leave and follow her? Like, boy, what is your problem? You know what I'm
That's
saying? Now
right.
I gotta pay people to come and get your ass. It's a whole lot going on here that
That's
people
right.
don't understand.
That's right,
It ain't
cuz
no Walmart. It ain't no McDonald's. There's not no Burger King. How you what type of job? What do they call employees back then?
slaves.
So come on now, we gotta start getting with the program. But finding out your own family genealogy and reading it, you have to ponder and think upon these things. How was they free in this time, in this place, and owning land and own a couple slaves, and
Mhm.
was a judge or a jurat or like how is this possible? Because we only taught a certain psychology.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
let's get with the questions because I'll keep going. So
Guys, I got any questions in the chat? Anybody have any questions? What's up, beloveds? Hi, Tiffany. Y'all got any questions before we close out?
I'll give you some time. I know some people trying to type it and they like, hold on, because I'll be doing that.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
Okay, we got Queen Feria. One of her ancestors was labeled as an engineer. That's right. He definitely wasn't a slave. He was a builder. That's for sure. A master planner. You can bet that.
And
Um,
you can find out what type of slave. Okay, there we read in history of my family and they're telling you who they are. Then they said that when we just read that they don't really know William Graham's parental history, but they know he was not a slave and he was free. He might have been a mix, but you know what I'm saying, Indian or whatnot. Of Sarah, they gave her family and her family history in the family document. But on Ancestry.com, they said Sarah was Jacob's was African slave. See?
that's right.
So you don't know. You got to keep going. And if they say African slave, you need to know what type and if they really meant that.
That's right. Make sure they wasn't being malicious.
Yep. And if she was, and if they was, I have no problem with that. That's another thing. I have no problem with my European descendants that
Right.
I come from neither. I
Right.
punch up some of them and a castle pop up. You
That's
think I
right.
got a problem with that?
Right. It's the fact that you know. You know, they try to
Yeah.
shame you when you get back to the 1700s and you start seeing that you're attached to Scottish Highlanders and the Irish and the British and stuff like that. You know, you hear this on the show, Phoenix Moon, a whole, European woman. But if you would have found an African, that means that there's still some people that should be finding theirs too, if that was the case. You understand
Yep.
what I'm saying? It doesn't matter who you find as long as you find them, because there's still going to be a sense of empowerment, specifically knowing that there is not a decade in documented history of the 13 colonies that you don't know what was going on in your ancestors' time. So now that
Yep.
you found your family on censuses in the 1700s, you can guarantee there's going to be some from the 1600s too.
Yep, guaranteed.
You guys have any other questions at all?
Why one of my ancestors was labeled as an engineer because he wasn't no dang slave. I don't know. Yep. My grandfather was a herbist. He played the banjo and guitar. He made liquor. That's right.
I know that's right.
That's why I can't wait to get around some of my uncles
I'm
like that.
gonna
They
we're gonna do I want to do I have some clips that I'm gonna show off of this website that I love, and it talks about how our people historically love to have liquor and party, right? And they were just like making
yes,
complaints and stuff about them, like, you got to stop those Negroes from partying every weekend. You can hear them. I'm like, damn, they're out
they
there in the
always do that.
backwoods.
They always do
It,
that.
yeah, and they were just still like them Negroes been up all night in that back of them woods, just dancing and and all types of stuff. I want to play those
Hmm.
things. That's also again, that's part of our culture, and I love seeing the fact that the a lot of the things that they have made out to be so negative, our people were absolutely dealing with 200-300 years ago. I think it's
Right. Like
hilarious. Yeah,
every time you go to a burial site, what they gonna find? Pipes.
that's right.
I, the Easterners was on tobacco. The Westerners was on on weed and tobacco. The Southerners down south they was on tobacco and cocoa. It's like this stuff has been around forever. All of the European politicians, when they sat down with a chief, you gotta hit this pipe, buddy, or I'm not fucking with you. So you're gonna do everything that you're supposed to do that we telling you to do because you here. And it's all written. John Hancock. And they gave him a name. You know what I'm saying? So it was 1744, and they used the same advice that John Hancock and them gave them about the three-tier government, and that's the same government that they used in 1774 and in
That's true.
1776. You know what I'm saying, to establish what they established here. They do not have an imperial system here that got smashed. They followed the Indian system, which the whole rest of the world is now trying to follow the American constitutional system. No ifs, ands, or buts. So we can keep digging.
That's right. You're gonna get to it. You're gonna get to it. That's right, Stephen Ray Clay. Look at this.
Hmm.
Very,
How
very
could
good
someone
point.
be a slave but was allowed to travel to other states and territories?
That's
Okay,
right.
the only
And they
okay,
would able
okay, all right,
they
okay,
would be able to
okay,
leave and
tomorrow.
go for work. And they also had to
Okay,
have passports, believe it or not.
brother, who is that? Who is that? Stephen Redclay? I think tomorrow we might need to have a discussion on that right there.
Hmm.
Why? Because I have documented evidence that I have found on Frederick Douglass's family. I was looking for it for 2 years because one of the Moors had it, but I couldn't find it no more because they took all of their stuff down. But they was trying to prove that was proof that Frederick Douglass was a Moor and was indigenous, and that's not what that proves. What it proves it's a letter of Frederick Douglass's great great grandson, showing you who their lineage is, and it went back to um the Baileys. I think
Hmm.
Betsy and Isaac Bailey, who are Frederick Douglass's grandparents who raised him. Now we have the brother Umar Johnson, who I think is a good psychologist, but when it comes to anything else, he should back off. Why? Because Garvey was an Arawak Indian, and Frederick Douglass grandparents, who are in the second paragraph of I got his handwritten letter that they have in the Congressional Library of Congress and all of that, and it tells you that Betsy was full-blooded Indian and Isaac was Negro and Indian. So the brother, the brother tries to say that he doesn't come from Frederick Douglass because they busted him out with that. He says that he comes from Frederick's first cousin named Stephen. And so he goes around Frederick Douglass to the Baileys. He's saying, I come from the Baileys. But if you come from the Baileys are One is full blood. The other one is Negro and
That's right.
Indian. So he's more. They're more so Indian than they would be from Africa. So how are you super Pan Africanist and use Frederick Douglass? How are you a Pan Africanist and use Indian history for your movement? In short,
That's right. That's right.
when the African Colonization Society, or excuse me, the American Colonization Society,
Yes.
Marcus Frederick Douglass was against it and
Right.
against moving to Africa.
And Marcus
It
Garvey was
said that
for it. Marcus Garvey worked for and was funded by,
worked for it.
yep, the American
So
Colonization
it's like
Society.
that's when people be saying agents. That's what they mean because you actually working for them and don't know that you're working for them.
Hmm.
You're working on their behalf, not knowing that you're working on their behalf. Why? Because you've been misinformed. But you think that you have the right information and you're going to stand strong on it.
That's
That
right.
goes for Marcus. That goes for Umar. That goes for Noble Drew Ali. That goes for Elijah. That goes for Malcolm. You understand? I will leave the Black Panthers alone because they were more so a political party that
Right.
invited everybody in to go against the pig, which was people in government. So I'm gonna leave that alone. And they were talking about a panther. So
Save some of
I let
those
that one go.
teachings. Save some of those teachings. You'll be back for the next
Yeah,
time
I know.
you go back.
Yeah. No, but listen, cuz but my point was this: Betsy Ross was a slave for the slave master, and she lived 12 miles away from the house, from the plantation. How do you live 12 miles away
Hmm. Right.
and you consider 12 miles away? We're
Right.
going to read it on the document. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave
I
it
know
alone.
that's right. That was
But
dope.
but what he said, Red Clay, you're right. You're right. You're exactly right, brother.
That's right.
You're
That's
right.
right. Ibn El Sadiq Bey says great grandfathers were railroad engineers and farmers early 1900s. They were actually working the railroad in the late 1880s.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically during that period, definitely in the 1890s. I'm pretty sure that a lot of that pension would have been they didn't have a way of tracking it, but that was also for the Civil War payments that I think were totally, absolutely supposed to be perpetual, even passed down to us. I think those payments were never supposed to stop for us for the Civil War. But the railroad, our grandfathers, when they created the Social Security Act in 1933, that is when, if you look on the grandparents' Social Security card, the original issue one, and this one is,
Mm-hmm.
it had a white background and it had blue border. It's not all blue like it is now. It was like a off white, and it had the different border around it, and it would absolutely say RR, just like people of foreign descent have like resident alien or temporary resident. You know, it would have their status on there. It would have that railroad status, which would be how they were supposed to be paid out their retirement benefits for working on the railroad. As porters, I don't know if people know that a lot of your grandfathers were porters on the railroad. Um, Check out, there was a
Yep.
movie written about them when that's part of the railroad suit. And it was, I think, My Name is George, or My Name Ain't George, or something like that. And it was about the men in the Pullman cars. And one of my grandfathers was actually a Pullman. Um, so yeah, you guys check those things out. Check out those, get all into those spicy meatballs. I don't think that you can order posthumous Social Security cards, even though the Social Security Death Administration does in fact post the the ancestors, they put their social up posthumously, even though they issue it again, in some way they wind up reissuing that same deceased person's original social security number, but there's got to be some benefits attached to that. And I think that may very well be because people don't claim it as part of the estate, right? When
Damn, that's a
someone
good
passes
point. I
away.
can't believe it. That's such a good point.
So,
Wow.
and therefore that may be the reason why the benefits are gone. So I try to look at things a little objectively, just to stay closer to the solution than me assuming that it's going to be a problem. So if I'm looking for the railroad money and I say, okay, well, did we claim that as part of the estate? Because it counts whether he was dead or alive. They're still taxing us because of this number, because he's even dead. So there's got to be something more still valuable in this social security number, right? But did we think of that back then? No. So is it too late? I'm not certain, but I just definitely wanted to put it out there. If in hindsight I can do things differently, as far as handling our family's affairs, I would have argued about that. It may seem petty, but certainly not if
That is not petty.
your grandfather has those railroad benefits, and that's how you prove it's perpetual. So if that number now belongs
Yeah,
to a little pale woman, young lady named Becky, she ain't got no railroad benefits that'll do her. So that may have killed the account right there and end up reissuing it. So, but that's it though. But thank you so much, it being El Sadiq Bey. That was a good comment. That was absolutely true. Other than that,
yeah,
I
that was
think
that was
everything. I think. Go ahead, cousin.
was dope.
Yeah, that was a dope comment. So I want to thank everybody for coming through. Um, See, Vicky Simmons says that she found some family working for the railroads too. So that's what's up. Now, just try and see if any of should try and see if they can find Grandpa's original Social Security card. And definitely handle it with care. But yeah, it'll definitely have that RR with the old school typewriter, you know, and that impression of those old school typewriters was so heavy that you could kind of feel dent in the background, right? Even after all these years, if they kept it in mint condition, you would feel the impression of it, um, from the typewriter. I don't know if you guys remember having to ever type on one of those heavy turning carriages, really deep keystrokes, boom, 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 making all that noise. I'm
Boom,
talking,
boom, boom. Yep.
yeah, Barney Miller carried a carriage over instead of hitting the nice little enter or return key. Yeah, it wasn't that simple. I certainly not when I started typing. But okay, y'all, we're gonna wrap this up. That was an hour and a half. And I'm hoping that everybody enjoyed the content. We got so much more of that coming. Cousin Sokwa is definitely gonna come back. I love how he kicks it, and we're going to keep doing that layman term stuff, so it's easy for everybody to understand. Definitely encouraging people to go forward and keep digging. You will find the Indian that you are looking for, um, and then some, and then some, and then it opens up just a whole new world, a whole new floodgate. But everything is everything. Y'all be good. Y'all be healthy. Um, Stay away from them suckers. Keep